Hi, my name is Glenn Story. I'm the founder and CEO of Patriot Mobile. I'd love for you to learn more about Patriot Mobile, www.patriotmobile.com/Gene V. More importantly, I'd like you to be a subscriber to his show. I mean, his Truthcast is amazing. And if you get to listen to some of them, you'll never go back. I really encourage you to come watch it.
Relationships matter because people buy people, and that's why I buy Eddie Zarin Insurance of the Zarin Insurance Agency in Pensacola, Florida. A family-owned business with over 50 years in the business, and they treat people the right way. From homeowners insurance to contractors insurance, condo insurance, commercial insurance, all the different coverages that are out there, and of course auto insurance, they've got you covered. They worry about you first. You're more than a policy number. You're a person who they're watching out for, not when the sun is shining, but after the hurricane has left. If you want real service with real savings, contact Eddie Zarin at the Eddie Zarin Insurance Agency. www.zarininsurance.com. Give them a call today. You'll be glad you did when you do.
Welcome to Side Hustle City. And thanks for joining us. Our goal is to help you connect to real people who found success turning their side hustle into a main hustle. And we hope you can too. I'm Adam Kaler. I'm joined by Kyle Stevie, my co-host. Let's get started.
All right, guys, welcome back to the Side Hustle City podcast. And today we have a special guest. And I know we haven't done a podcast in a while, but I met Gene Valentino a while back at a little political event that we were both at. And Gene has an exceptional background, very interesting, very similar to what I've been into: technology, politics, real estate, all the things you probably are interested in and want to be in. Well, we have an expert here to talk to you and explain a little bit about his background. So, Gene, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Adam. It's really a joy to be here with you. You've had quite a footprint around the nation in different worlds, and the more I got to know you, the more I realized how our pasts align.
That's right. That's right. Just seeing your background and knowing where you're living at and some of the stuff we've talked about. I got a ways to go, Gene. I need to catch up to you. I need a plane and a helicopter and a big spread up there. It's almost like I think you've got a ranch or something, don't you?
Well, the home's on the water, and we don't have the helicopter, although eVTOL, electronic vertical takeoff and landing vehicles, are coming. The whole concept of aviation's changing. And heads up, once we get through web servers and farms and Elon Musk with satellite stations for visiting as well as web hosting and telephone calls and everything. Oh, my God. He's leapfrogging over a lot of these entrepreneurs on the Earth's surface that were trying to admonish him. He's now on his way to embarrassing all of them, as he should. Many of them have stepped on him. From my point of view, I just enjoy tagging along. To your point, I like you. I like just get that surfboard and ride his wave. There's a lot of technology enhancements going on.
That's right.
That you and I are either involved in or want to ride, that I think are going to be the wave of the future in the next 10 years. Very exciting times.
So just what you were talking about, I mean, it's one of those things where you see trends, right? You pay attention, you know what's going on. And I think a lot of people that I've met and that I've interviewed that are successful, they see trends before other people, or they can connect the dots somehow. And I think a lot of people go through life, unfortunately, just not paying attention the way they should. And I think if you just paid attention a little more and you jumped on these waves and you read a lot and you understood what was happening in the world, and that includes politics. A lot of people just want to stay out of politics. They said, I don't care about politics. I say, politics cares about you, right? You got a war in Iran right now. It's affecting oil prices. Everything's made out of a barrel of oil. these glasses right here made out of oil, the plastic, the metal, not the metal, but the plastic. A lot of stuff is made out of oil. The asphalt you drive your car on, the price of barrel goes up, everything goes up, right? Transportation costs go up. So if it's food, it's not made out of a barrel of oil, but you need to put it in a truck and you need to deliver it where it needs to go. And those costs trickle down. So if people don't understand politics, they're not paying attention, it's hard to be an investor. It's hard to keep track of these things that are going on. It's hard to make money and get over the hump.
You're so correct. And, you said something that I think is key. It's not necessarily the innovation, but it's the timing of it in the marketplace with other factors around you. I'm not sure Elon Musk could have had a success with reusable rockets, re-entry rockets, maybe 10, 15 years ago. But today, as NASA kind of crumbled in the old bureaucracy in the last decade, it was clear that there was an opportunity for entrepreneurs to step up and take advantage of new innovations. And speaking of capitalism, look at what's happening in the stock market right now. They're begging for innovation. They're begging for insight, opportunities. Now, you've got a crowd that came out of the Gen Z era that doesn't appreciate American history or innovation. They're looking for a freebie. And when I say tag along earlier to you, I don't mean in terms of riding the wave of someone else doing the heavy lifting for me. I'll pay my way. I'm talking about individuals who, coming out of high school and college with some sort of transgender degree and not knowing where to go for a job. And that's what I think is going to happen. I think we're going to see a lot of innovation with people like Elon Musk. He's just the tip of the iceberg that are going to present opportunities for you and me. I invested big time in the SpaceX program. The stock is down a little right now, but I think it's going to rebound. Morgan Stanley reports something over $300 a share in SpaceX by the end of 2026 this year. Oh, yeah. Well, there's a whole ripple effect you and I were talking about in the marketplace right now. Look what's happening with the chip manufacturers that have crashed. I mean, the chips, even Taiwan, even the chips coming out of Taiwan and all the manufacturers and innovators over there are really in the red today as we speak. But I mean, my words, they're up 300-400% since their inception going back 2 or 3 years. So I'm not too anxious to throw in the towel just because a lot of greedy individuals in the stock market are trying to short an opportunity that just came to market. It's caused a terrible, what's the word? Misleading in the marketplace. I think for the prudent investor who sees where the marketplace is going, go out and play a game of racquetball or go smoke your pipe somewhere and ignore the marketplace for 6 months. Watch what happens by the end of the year. I think you're in for a very pleasant surprise.
I think so. And you can't really argue with it. I mean, look at the last several years and how things have gone. I'm a little worried about the AI boom. Kind of feels like the .com thing, but being in the industry, using AI, seeing how it's transformed my own business, how it's increased my productivity, I just don't see it slowing down. I think it just keeps getting better. Every month there seems to be an update to each one of these models. They're getting smarter, which scares a lot of people, I think, the whole data center thing. And I think, in Terminator, Sarah Connor was trying to destroy the data centers that Skynet ran on, right? Yeah. Like that was that was her thing. And people see that kind of stuff. You always, in all the stuff that happens in our government, you always want to bring up 1984. The book, there's a lot of parallels. So I think people try to find in popular culture things that make sense for them, that they know about, that tie into all these things that are happening in our world. But at the end of the day, Gene, you got to worry about yourself. Government's not coming to save you. This is my podcast, right? This is like the thing I talk about all the time is, you got to be worried about yourself. You gotta, make sure that you're paying attention because nobody else is going to do that for you. Nobody's going to make sure there's food on the table for your family. Nobody's going to help you keep your business successful. You got to do that yourself. And I think that's something guys like you and I and a lot of other entrepreneurs learned early on in life is that, hey, look, this is up to me to make things happen. There was things that maybe happened in our lives that taught us that. There were things that happened in popular culture and politics that made us realize these things. Early on in your life, if you go back, Gene, what were some of the what led you into entrepreneurialism? Do you know what that was there a moment or was it always in you?
Well, my dad, I have to go back to the early 70s when I was in high school, and I think vividly about my father, who I respected so much. I was the oldest of 4 children, and we weren't rich at all. I mean, no one handed us anything. He was a radio station broadcaster, if that tells you anything.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
They didn't make much money. His advancement was becoming general manager of a radio station in Waterbury, Connecticut. At the time, media as we know it was 2 or 3 radio stations in the county, 2 or 3 television stations in the state, and cable TV hadn't been formed yet. So you didn't have this wealth of input coming to you. Going to college meant a liberal arts undergrad type of environment that morphed into some specialty of trade in the 4 years of college. For me, it was business, and with a minor in journalism. Because during my college years, I ended up studying journalism because my dad this was his jump, became a news correspondent for the Mutual News Radio Network in Washington, D.C.
Oh, so, interesting.
All right, take a look at this ugly mugshot here, right? See what you see? Okay, so back then it was long hair down past my shoulder blades, and I had the Farmer John jeans as normal dress code to business class.
The overalls, yeah.
The overalls. And let me tell you, I was a different person back then. Liberal? No. I was conservative, but maybe more middle of the road than liberal. And my transition, if you will, my awakening occurred when I saw my father switch from Democrat Party to the Republican Party when Ronald Reagan became the president.
Oh, yeah. How could you not?
And that was the beginning of my transformation to your first question. I began to see that it was important to produce and work and earn as a reward. Not sit on the couch over there and eat my Kit Kats and expect you to pay my bills.
Adult child support is what I call it.
Adult child. It was a transformation unto itself. We had a very we were half Irish and half Italian in my family. So we came out of an old Italian work ethic of hard work, 8-hour days minimum, 10, 14-hour days were not unusual. And then as I came back out of college and thought I was for a short while a television broadcaster at the local TV station.
Oh.
When I came out of college, because I had minored in journalism, and I'll be honest with you, there wasn't any money in it. And so I really realized, if I want all those things in my life, I best figure out a way of making more money.
Nobody was just bringing it to you.
Well, Daddy had his hands full with 4 kids, and Mom too, and I wasn't about to impose on them for money. So I got the message early on: you want it, go work for it.
Mm-hmm. And that's right.
and that message transcended through my life. Ended up owning a 20-unit apartment building complex with a buddy of mine, and we made some money off that. And I said, that's better than selling advertising for a TV station. And then all of a sudden I owned a few 3-family houses. And then I said, well, let me do that and let that be a passive income while I get to work and try to find out who I am. And I ended up going into insurance. Insurance was a transition for me. It was a way of saying, hey, I'm going to sell you that $600 a year homeowner's policy, make my portion of the 20% commission off that $600 a year, not much money, and build up this thing called a book of business over the years, and build my wealth that way. And all of a sudden, I realized that, hey, I'm not going to make much money. I advanced in the insurance business and happened to like it, but I'm not going to make much money working for the other guy who's probably going to give the insurance business to his son and daughter. Mm-hmm. I better go out and I respect that he would do that. Let me find some other windows to jump out of. So while I was at the insurance agency, the auto body shop down the street saying, hey, we can't get in touch with you fast enough. We need to be able to know where you are so we can bring some more business your way and give you some claims and have you give us some claims on auto body work. We became good friends. He says, I'm going to put a 2-way radio in your car for you. I said, what? I had a bigger car at the time. I said, yeah, I need to be able to reach out and connect with you. Well, go ahead, put the 2-way radio in. He builds this 75-foot antenna in my backyard. I'm up on top of a hill, and 20 watts of power or something. Halfway through the project, he stops and says, hey, I can't do it. I said, why? There's this new thing, 1983 to 85. He says, I've got the United States government shut me off and took the frequency from me. Oh, he says, it turns out they've got this new thing coming out called cellular telephone in the same radio frequency spectrum. Cellular telephone. What's that? And so he turns me over to some guy out of Bloomfield Hills, Michigan, who's putting these partnership groups together that's investing in a lottery process for cellular telephone.
A lottery process? I didn't know that happened. That's
original
wild.
FCC, after they did a beta test in Detroit, Chicago, a few key metropolitan areas, said, look, we can't keep going like this. We've got to disseminate it faster throughout the nation. And the only way to do it was to break the nation up into, for lack of a better word, franchise areas around the nation. Where there were thousands of franchise areas around the nation, the government set up, and I became part of a partnership of 20 people. And we invested, maybe 1,800 different times in 1,800 different cellular areas around the nation, franchise areas. And by the grace of God, on my birthday of all things, the federal government called us and said, congratulations, you won the lottery.
Oh.
I said, well, where do I go to cash in my ticket? Oh, no, sir, you don't understand. You won the cellular telephone company franchise right, meaning you own the right to build and own your own cellular telephone company, and you've got 18 months to do it. Go find yourself $12 million and go figure out how to build a cellular telephone company. We had won the area in Central California, smack dab between Fresno to the south and Sacramento to the north, and we were Madera, Merced, Chowchilla, Atwater. I could name the whole San Joaquin Valley, the Santa Clara mountain range. There I am on a horse with two other buddies with an old-fashioned GPS in my hand, trying to figure out where the best location is going to be for this tower at the time. And so we had 18 months to build turn on the signal in RSA number 339 in Central California. We got it on 7 days before our 18-month deadline expired. We sold it 10 years later in 1996 for $125 million.
In the 90s. This was real good money in the 90s. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a different game back then. But the government changed its mind. Its effort to bring opportunity to the citizens through a lottery process, excuse me, transformed into a bid process for, as what Bernie Sanders would say, the oligarchs. All the oligarchs out there got into this, and you average citizens didn't get a chance to be part of it. Well, at the time, there was an effort to let John Q. and Jane Q. Public become part of a system of opportunity, an economic entrepreneurial system that, frankly, governments was supporting.
Yeah. Something that he would support because he believes in big government. So,
end of the story real quick. They ended up, we ended up selling it to a firm that went bankrupt, obviously, but it made the front page of the Wall Street Journal, got absorbed by Verizon in the acquisition process from that experience. But I walked away very happy. My father and my family thought I was crazy because at the time I took $20,000 of cash I had, plus $20,000 my wife and I received at the wedding, and in 1984. So we had $40,000.
Even your wedding money. You took the wedding money and did it. You went all in.
My wife's in all the way with me.
You pushed the chips to the middle of the table there, didn't you?
That was good observation. A lot of people brag when they got all this money. I'll tell you the ugly side first. You got to know where people are coming from before you take a shot at where they are. That's why I take great offense with Bernie Sanders taking a shot at Elon Musk, who started in America with nothing. Yeah. That's the parallel. By the way, hold on to Elon Musk for a second. So 10 years later, what a story. I could give you an hour on just cellular. We called ourselves Cellular One at the time. We were one of the first Cellular One operations, Cellular 2000 telephone company doing business as Cellular One in Central California. And a funny story. There was an attempt at a hostile takeover.
Oh, really?
Yeah. One of the 20 of us, Craig McCaw Cellular, ends up trying to take out some of our shareholders. So they almost succeeded and ended up buying up about 25% of our company. And did not succeed at getting to a majority, but I became president of Cellular 2000 telephone company doing business as Cellular One, and my minority partner was Craig McCaw. Now, we needed them because they were to the north of us, they were to the south of us, they were
they were all around you. They just surrounded
us. So the RS-232 software, which is what the software is for the handoff at the time, this roaming stuff, we don't talk much about it today because it's so integrated. But at the time, the handoff parameters were very interesting. Anyway, we had a partner called Craig McCaw. One day during the time, I end up meeting a gentleman who says, "I'm your new partner." And it turns out he's the CEO of a small company called AT&T.
Ah, interesting.
I'm president of Cellular 2000 Telephone Company with the head of AT&T as my minority partner.
Insane. Isn't that funny? You're riding around on a horse checking cellular signals one day and using your wedding money to invest in this company, and now you're partnered with one of the top CEOs in the country. Yeah,
that's correct. And even I think his name was Mr. White, John White, I think was his name. He ends up we both get bought out by Dobson Cellular, which was out of Salt Lake City, Utah, and they overpaid. They paid $330 a pop, which equated to about $220 million plus dollars. I had a percentage of that, and so that became the seed money for Valentino Holdings. Valentino Holdings is now diversified into many things in the marketplace, but it gives me the chance to do things like this, podcasts, and I'm a contributor on Newsmax and Real America's Voice. Get a chance to it gave me the opportunity last year when Congressman Matt Gaetz ran here in the Panhandle of Florida, left the position to consider Donald Trump's request for him to be the original Attorney General before Pam Bondi. The congressional seat became vacant. So I threw my hat in the ring. I was one of 10 Republicans. I lost. I was second or third in line out of 10. And the guy who won was rightfully Donald Trump's endorsed candidate, Mr. Jimmy Patronis, and who was the CFO of the state of Florida at the time under DeSantis.
Well, as we can see, too, you don't run against Trump-endorsed candidates.
Yeah.
I think he's got a 100% win rate right now in his second term here.
I don't find fault with that. I just wish Donald Trump had the chance to meet me. I think he would have appreciated me more.
Well, I think he would have appreciated your background, your entrepreneurship, a lot of the stuff that you had done. I mean, you know, being in early and revolutionizing the cellular industry. Collector Solutions is another thing. You've done some work with NCR, National Cash Register. You know, talk a little bit about that too. That was a whole nother thing.
I know it parallels what you're doing, which is kind of one of the things we have in common. And I said, hold the thought on Elon Musk earlier for a reason. Elon Musk was to PayPal what Gene Valentino was to Collector Solutions. Elon Musk was the payer's solution in PayPal. Gene Valentino is the collector's solution in payments, meaning I went after tax collectors, big centralized accounts receivable billing systems like utility companies, water authorities, centralized billing where a lot of billing went out. And we wrote the software to connect to their inside management information software. So we were the payment engine. And, you know, there was a day, first it started people using this item here. You're going to what? Cell phone?
I remember nobody wanted to even buy things online. You remember that? They were afraid to put their credit card in online. I mean, people were still stealing credit cards online, but, you know, there was a time when it wasn't secure. People were afraid to do it. You know, and there was this whole thing where you had to get over this block that people had, right?
Right. So if it was the phone, now it's credit card. You expect me to put my credit card online? That's a
crazy
communist plot. I'm not giving you my credit card. So,
and these are our people. These are the conservatives that are saying this stuff. They're always the ones that are like, yeah, wait a minute. This is, you know, the libertarians or the, you know, they're on our side, but they're always afraid of everything. It seems like.
So we ended up forming Collector Solutions, which parallels what you're doing, parallels at the time what Elon Musk was doing. And we built a payment engine system that was moving over $3 billion a year in payment processing. Our contracts included the state of Missouri, the state of Illinois, and over 300 counties and utility authorities around the nation. Had the privilege of merging with a publicly traded company. And then that merger is what brought us into NCR, and NCR ended up buying us out at the time. Today, that becomes the base. Now you're talking about a guy who a few years earlier, 25, 30 years earlier, had his morning paperboy route. And after he did his morning paperboy route, he ended up doing mowing lawns. I'd make $20 to $40 to $50 a week, which was a lot of money back then. And I would give half of it away because we were poor. I'd give half of it to my mother and father, and that helped with the house, the operation of the household. And let me tell you, that was, I felt kind of like, I'm glad I'm doing this to help the family, but, no one gave me nothing, no silver spoon.
Well, that taught you, that was foundational though. It taught you, it taught you that, you were part of that. You were that family was important. You had to sacrifice, right? Just the way they sacrificed for you, you sacrificed for them, you didn't have this idea that somehow your parents were going to just take care of you indefinitely. And then once your parents were done taking care of you, then you had somebody else, everybody else was supposed to take care of you, right? You didn't have that mindset.
Well, I'm so convinced we are a product of where we came from, and we take for granted the foundational things.
That's right.
So outside of the money thing that you and I have in common and business entrepreneurship, you and I also have a desire, a patriotic streak, and have the desire to be serving our country. Well, we serve our country in different ways. We serve our country by trying to run for Congress, or we are part of a local commission or a county commission type of environment, or city or town selectmen. And we all have different ways of contributing to the country. And I say to myself, well, where did that come from? And I think back to, the lawn mowing days in early high school, 8th grade to early high school. And I think back to my grandfather, who, I remember the day my father took me down to the hospital, and it wasn't the nuanced hospitals we have of healthcare today, with all the creature features and services. We think back to the old institutional cinder block looking buildings called hospitals. And I remember going into this hospital room, and my father brings me up to the bedside of my grandfather. And I was a snot-nosed kid at the time who needed a good spanking once in a while. And and at that time, I was playing my Nintendo type of game. I was preoccupied doing something. And I wasn't paying much attention to the wellness of my grandfather. And my grandfather looks over the side of the bed at me and it says, "Hey, are you listening to me?" Yeah, Gramp, what? "You make sure in your life you serve your country." Yeah. Okay. No, he says. "Are you listening? You make sure you serve your country." "Okay, I will." "You promise?" "I promise." "You sure?" "I'm sure." 2 days later, he died.
Oh.
And I think back to that time, and I'm moved every time I think about it, because it was transformative.
That's right.
It was the kick. It was the
how could you not? Yeah, I mean,
it was the kick ass I needed.
Mm-hmm.
It made me realize that working hard to help support your family and to be part of the family, the contributions to your family, not like these woke snot-nosed punks today who think they can camp out in mom and dad's house
until they're 50 years old. Yeah, it's kind of wild. It's crazy. And then eventually they get kicked out. And I think a lot of times too, if you think about it, I think they believe that, they live through this whole socialism environment in their house. Their parents may be well-to-do. Most of these DSA kids grow up with money. They're well-educated, right? They went to nice schools. They didn't grow up like we did, poor, right?
Yeah.
And they think they're going to save everybody, but I think they grew up in socialism, right? They got what they wanted from their parents. We didn't, right? So we couldn't wait to get out and go get our lives in order. But they extend adolescence, right? And then once they get out of that, they get upset because they want that adult child support, right? Their parents say, look, we're done with you. And I think half the time, I think their parents want the government to take care of them. I think their parents know they kind of screwed up with them. They gave them too much. And now they're like, yeah, give my kid UBI, give him universal basic income. Like, I don't want to support him anymore. I want the government to support. So they kind of go out and vote for this stuff too, thinking that, the government's going to, make up for their
shortcomings.
Their shortcomings, yeah. And the fact that they didn't raise their kids right. They gave them too much. And I think that's what you got. You got a whole generation of kids that are kind of like that. And they start this whole DSA thing. And it's a big problem. And I think one of the reasons I do the podcast and I run for office a couple of times, like you said, serve the country in the way you think you can, is I hear too much from the left about what you can't do versus what you can do. Right.
Right.
And as the left believes in big government. The right is, for sometimes I think they're for big government too, but in general, for less taxes, less government involvement in things, right? But the left is always for the bigger government, but they always take, right? They always have their little piece that they take out of that, right?
Right.
And there's so much fraud being uncovered and everything right now. And I just want to wake people up that they're not coming to save you. It's up to you. It's always been up to you. You understood that as a young person. You took advantage of some opportunities that were in front of you. I took advantage of opportunities that were in front of me. But the thing is you have to get out there. You have to be a person that someone wants to actually work with and talk to in network. Timing
right there. What do you say about a guy like Elon Musk, a rags to riches story unto himself, who has to call time out on the nation, insert himself into the Donald Trump environment? He didn't need that job at Doge. I mean, come on. But he said he was going to call out Department of Energy, Department of Efficiency in government, Doge. Department of Government
Efficiency.
Mm-hmm. Excuse me. He turns around and puts a little team together and finds so much waste, fraud, and abuse that his Tesla operation is at risk because the mainstream left liberals, including the media, think that he's damaging the nation somehow. I'm on a debate with a strong lefty who says that the Tesla stock at the time at $200 a share was swirling down the drain and was going to go out of business through the destruction of all of the Teslas and all the Tesla.
Think about the type of person you have to be to want a business to fail. Because you don't agree with the politics
because you don't agree.
Cutting waste and fraud. Like that's absolutely insane. There's people that work, but at the same time, they claim to care about the worker. Well, the worker's on the line, on the factory floor, putting together
that
those
worker
cars.
just lost his job if you followed that logic.
Yeah, it's absolutely insane. The resentment they have for that man, and nothing he has is keeping anyone else from doing anything in their lives. Like there's absolutely nothing that's stopping you from going out and starting a small business or doing better for yourself. Like just because Elon owns a bunch of stock in companies he created, he's not sitting on a bunch of cash that he can just hand to you, right? If he sells his stock, that sends a signal to the market that the owner of the company has lost faith in the company, and everyone else sells the stock. Like they don't understand.
That's right.
It's not just cash on hand and it's just laying around. And these poor dealerships, you just got people there trying to sell cars, and they're out here firebombing and protesting in front. What is that accomplishing? Like, I don't understand.
What does that tell you? The stock of Tesla at the time was $200 a share. It's now over $400 a share.
Yeah. I mean, nobody, and the funny thing is it used to be liberals that wanted to buy his cars. And just because of them, it made the other groups think, oh, well, hey, like if they hate him so much, maybe I'll buy a car. Maybe I'll support him and go buy a car. It just, it never makes sense to me, anything they really do. And it's all a grift. It's all, it's all the same actors that go out there. And I mean, honestly, you got, people like these communist folks. There's a guy, this Roy Neville Singham guy, who apparently, him and this Code Pink, his wife runs, and all these other organizations. They're big communists, Marxist people. They fund a lot of these programs. These people get paid to protest through those programs. And I don't know if they're just useful idiots. Do they know they're being paid by communist actors, or like what's going on? I don't get it.
One thing that's scaring me is that this communist socialist woman, I forgot her name, but she's appeared on the news recently. Shannon Bream on Fox News interviewed her recently.
Oh, yeah. Oh, what a terrible interview she had. That was crazy.
She's talking about open the borders, take them out of prisons, eliminate ICE, just totally do away with the Pentagon, do away with the Senate in Congress, get rid of the Senate. And I'm looking at her, and you know what bothers me most? She's got red glasses on.
She's got your glasses.
So on Adam Kohler's show today, Adam,
taking them off.
Coming off.
Take them off.
I'm matching Adam Kohler.
There you go.
On my old wire rims.
There you go.
I'm putting on my old wire rims. When I see her off the news, I might bring the red glasses.
You bring the red glasses back. That's right.
You're stuck with me with these. I hope these are okay. Anyway,
just imagine the mindset, though. Like the mindset in someone like that, the envy and resentment and anger. Like, where does all that come from? And it's just like she spends all this time doing those things, and she could be starting a business. She could be doing something for herself, making her life better. But instead, she chooses to bring everyone else down and promise things that are never going to happen.
Because in school, where the formidable years, where confidence and self-worth are being nurtured, and the leaders, your guidance counselor, your teachers, the key people that stay with you 20 years later that you think about from those high school days, those nurturers are telling you you're inept, you're unable, milk the government and let them help you. And by the way, my check is going to be the same as your check each week, whether you work that old Italian heritage I talked about at the beginning of the show, whether you worked 14 hours a day or 4 hours a day, doesn't matter. You and I are getting the same check. Well, if I'm getting the same check as you, I'm not working 14 hours a day.
That's why it fails every time. That's why it fails every time. It brings
the standard down, not up.
That's right.
I don't have a problem with Elon Musk becoming our first trillionaire. We saw in the news, how many was it, Adam? Over 4,000 of his employees became millionaires.
Yeah.
Because of what he did on
welders, guys on just regular people, engineers,
I did
welders.
That in my business.
Yeah.
I did that in my business. I brought a lot of people on with a little piece of the action on the stock in the payment processing business, and they had the chance to buy in more if they wanted to, and we created a retirement plan and maxed out the contributions on the employer side. It was really, we couldn't go any higher with the amount of contribution we gave.
That's right. There's a limit.
401k, but we took very good care of the 27 people before we merged, and I needed them to be looked at as above average, because when you're going into the marketplace, you compete by differentiating. Well, how did Valentino keep 27 people together with, and we did so not only in the compensation plan, but we did so in the design of our product that stood apart from the competition. And that's where the inherent value was in the company. But this woman, whose name I can't remember just as well.
Nobody will, because she won't do anything important in her life.
That's correct. These people, you hit the name. Remember the old days? I don't know if you ever read the book, but it was going back to the early 1900s. Horatio Alger wrote a book entitled American's Gospel to Success. I encourage everybody to read it. It was the early days when the Industrial Revolution was coming in. It was gentrified. It was enhanced after post-World War II. And during those two phases in our American history, we witnessed an acceleration of economics. What was going on in the rest of the world? Socialism, control of government. I'm right, you're wrong, follow me. You don't know as much as me.
Give me the power.
Down.
Yeah.
Let me control your life because I know better. Well, what our nation was founded. We remember the Boston Tea Party. We went nuts when the British government was trying to throw another tax on us. We went nuts saying, "Hey, you're not, screw you, and you're overseas. We're on our own now." And the magic was trying to keep a nation together. The Civil War, the Industrial Revolution first, the Civil War, and look what the little wars that followed. But during that genesis, we became America.
That's right.
And we became an economic stronghold that the world envies. China, Russia, and other true oligarchs, Bernie, were communist social entities that were jealous of what wealth we had. And if the message on today's podcast, if there's no other message, the most important message is to the Gen Z crowd, the young crowd now voting, coming out of college with a worthless degree and trying to find a way of life. Start with your patriotism to a nation that gave you an opportunity and learn to appreciate it. If your parents didn't help you understand that, please respect that what we're saying is true and take the initiative, run with the baton in the race and take it to the next level. You will find someone to then help springboard you into wealth, prosperity, and a comfort zone of self-worth.
That's right.
So that then you become the messenger to spread that, like Adam Kohler's doing on shows like this around the nation. Why is everybody now, these communists crossing over our borders, 400,000 illegals trying to take over our nation? What did I say? 20 million illegals.
Yeah. Well, and why would you say America is the worst place on earth, but at the same time want open borders so people can come here for opportunity? It's always the hypocrisy that gets me. Like, I don't understand it. If just shut the borders off. If America's so bad, why would you want all these people to come here? If it's this terrible place, it's rooted in racism and capitalism so evil and all this other nonsense they spout off, but you want open borders? Like, I don't get it. I don't get it. It's crazy to me. And I think Gene, it's you know, at the end of the day, it's about you, right? everything is about them. I don't think they're actually fighting for the worker or whatever it is. It's about them and them feeling something, right? They want to feel like they're contributing. Like you said, you have to contribute to America. These are the DSA people, are people who come from money, and they've done studies, right? A lot of these people are well educated. They come from money, or they have a bunch of education in something that, they're working at Starbucks now with a master's degree in sociology or something, right? So they want to contribute to society. They want to be seen as a hero, but the best way to do that, in my opinion, is start a business, help people pay their bills, create jobs. Encourage other people to do that same thing, build value like you did. You built businesses. You had people just like Elon Musk does. He's created 4,000 something millionaires when his stock went public. I see a lot more value in that than I do standing in front of a podium every weekend at the library and complaining to a bunch of people that America is the worst place on earth, and no matter what you do, you can't get ahead. The teachers are teaching kids that, which is crazy to me, because you're supposed to be the one that encourages them to do better in life, but you're pushing the Marxism and the critical race theory, which is all based in critical theory, which is what Karl Marx believed in. You're pushing this stuff on these kids. You're supposed to be encouraging them that America is a great place. You're supposed to be making them more patriotic. You're supposed to be pushing them out the door with the skills and the talents they need to become a productive citizen, not an activist. And it's sad, but it looks like a lot of our public schools in these blue cities are creating activists. And it's funny, our Board of Education just met the other day, and they want to increase the earnings tax in the city of Cincinnati almost another 1%. They want to push us above all the other cities in Ohio now to have the highest earnings tax because they lost their COVID money. Remember all that COVID relief money that the schools were getting? And what did they do? They took it. They added more administrators. They created more jobs, more bureaucracy. Now they don't want to let those people go because they're out of money. They're out of almost like $90 million a year now because they lost their COVID money. Well, they don't want to do that because all those teachers are voters, right? Every time they create a job in the city, they create another voter, right? So now they're putting it on the taxpayer. Now the taxpayer has to pay for a school system with a 19% college readiness rate, Gene. 19%.
Wow.
They're not pushing these kids to be better. It's almost like a pipeline to prison is what the public schools are, and they're asking you to pay for it. Absolutely insane.
You know who needs to educate them and set them straight? Rosie O'Donnell, Richard Gere, Ellen DeGeneres.
Yeah,
I could name a whole bunch more. Eva Longoria, George Clooney. How about all those folks? Why don't we get them to come back and tell them how great America is? Because clearly, wherever they are now, they're not enjoying it as much. And they're going to realize very shortly, this is the bastion. This is the shelter. This is where they're going to find safe harbor from a lot of the craziness going on in the world. And, I'm not surprised. Here we are in Iran trying to save the oil issue over there, only to find out we're not using any of the oil directly. And the European allies of ours, allies in quotes, didn't participate at all at helping us with this Iranian conflict. Now people are mad at Trump because he hasn't moved faster. What the hell's wrong with everybody? It's not our war. If we're gonna go finish off Iran, let's do it with certainty with allies around us. If you can't even get Spain to let us fly over the airspace and fuel up there, and here we have air bases in Rota that we should probably, that Pete Hegseth is going to make a decision on possibly pulling out of. We have a nation. We have nations over there who are no better than the children that we're complaining about in our own homes.
Yeah.
Here in the United States. What's the difference?
Yeah.
This isn't about Donald Trump anymore, folks. This is about a culture of bad behavior and misinformation that's affecting not only the people in your home and in the neighborhood, but affecting nations. Go over to Great Britain right now and tell me if you like the Islamic Jihad trying to take control of the city. I mean, they're in trouble.
Yeah, well, and you look at it. Look at all the European people that came to America during the World Cup, and I watch videos. Now they're crying because these are their last days in America, and they have to go back to the socialist utopia that they all probably voted for, and they don't want to. They like the big grocery stores. They like having all this excess and all this stuff that America has. The wealth that we have. In the apparent worst place in the world, right? Like according to the people who grow up here, worst place in the world, but the people that come here, they see opportunity, right? I want a trade program, Gene. I want a trade program. I want to send all the people who think America is the worst place on earth and it's evil and all this bad stuff. I want to trade them to a country where there's people there that are looking for opportunity. There's entrepreneurs that want to come here and want to experience America and build things and make it a better place. And send all the complainers and people who don't produce. All they produce is negativity. That's what they produce.
I got an interesting spin on that thought. Let's take the top 6 Islamic daycare centers in Minnesota that have fraudulently been exposed. Thank you, Elon Musk, again for starting the initiative. But it was Nick Shirley, who really independent journalist who did the hard work. Let's take the top 6 Islamic daycare centers that have no people in them, find the money related to that fraud, and go buy Greenland. We wouldn't have to raise any more money to buy Greenland. We could do it with the fraud money we just uncovered and buy Greenland. Now, Greenland, you may like that idea because that's going to tell you just how overlooked you've been, and maybe we'll give you more attention than these daycare centers.
That's right. That's right. What do you got to? There's 50,000 people you have to buy it off of. I mean, that's the entire population of Greenland. I'm sure if you give them each,
afford it with the fraud on these daycare centers is what I'm saying.
Hey, you create 50,000 millionaires in Greenland. All of a sudden, I think the negotiation gets a little easier.
Oh boy.
Well, Gene, I really appreciate it, man. You've been awesome. Is there anything you want to leave the people with? A young entrepreneur, they're out there. They don't know where to start. They're listening to all this negativity. They see that there's a war, there's all this fraud. They feel down and out right now. What do you tell them? None of this is new, right, Gene? I mean, this has been going on for a while. It just gets repackaged and sold to people in a different way every time and on a different type of platform. What do you tell them young people who are out there? They want to become something. They want to do something more with their lives. They want more out of life. What do you tell them?
Well, Brian Kilmeade, a Fox commentator, was in Pensacola recently. Maureen and I had the chance to watch him live at the local Sanger Theater. And I'm so glad you ended on this question because it really does tie into America. And to answer your question specifically, the turmoil we're feeling, the anxiety we're feeling, the PTSD issues we're feeling, it didn't just happen today. What do you think? You're special? We've had stress and turmoil going back through the centuries. We've had issues in the early American Revolution where leaving Britain, people lying about their age. They weren't 18, but at 16 years of age, they were looking to join the revolution to transform this nation into what it is today. That didn't just happen. They believed in something. They felt the urgency to protect a nation that was less structured than it is now. They believed in a concept of liberty and freedom. And if we believe in just those two things, the question is perfect, Adam. If we believe in liberty and freedom, then we believe in the future, and there will likely be a 500th anniversary celebration of this nation. that I'll look forward to, but not from here. We will be able to see 500 years of an entity in place that outlasts us. Think about it. Every other nation in the world is about me. I know better than you. Follow me. We have a faith-based nation formed out of with God in mind, and God is the leader. Our Constitution is the roadmap, but our leader is the Lord.
That's right.
We have the ability to take our nation into generational change because the structure we're working in, called our Constitution, is elastic enough to make changes for future changes.
Mm-hmm.
Changes in transportation, changes in communication, changes in arts, culture, and entertainment, changes in technology, automation, and the economy. Things are going to change. That's why we have, 27 amendments to a constitution. The amendments are elements of change. There could be another 27 changes in the Constitution in the next 250 years. So be it. The changes will reflect the need to protect ourselves from things that exacerbate bad behavior, like open borders, like a definition of what a citizen is. The Save America Act, regrettably, we didn't get a chance to talk about, but the Save America Act before Congress right now, Donald Trump's right. Certain members of Congress are right. That needs to pass immediately. Thank you, Senator Rick Scott from Florida, for pushing so hard Donald Trump's initiative on the Save America Act, because photo ID.
So simple.
I gotta show photo ID to go into the gym. Why wouldn't I show photo ID to vote? But before we tie a picture to the ID, what's the criteria for being a citizen? 100,000 Chinese slipping in over the border, so
having babies, jumping off a plane,
Now we've got a deep state conspiracy. China thinks in terms of centuries. They don't think in terms of 4-year election.
Right. They got 50-year plans.
They got a 50-year plan. So these children, some of which had just been born in the United States, have dual citizenship from China's point of view, and are going to be future citizens of the United States. Wait a minute. Does that citizen have the chance to become president of the United States? Under the Constitution, it does.
That's right.
You want a Chinese communist?
Well, where do their loyalties lie? A lot of these people that are getting elected to these lower level positions, the Mamdanis of the world, he was just naturalized 8 years ago, and you could tell he's still got his loyalties to where he's from Uganda or India or this global third world that is somehow that mentality has now taken over the Democrat Party. And, those bad ideas that made those countries fail are somehow becoming our problems now.
Madam, my teacher, Mrs. Lovejoy, in 7th grade, talked about the preamble to the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, the Bill of Rights, the first 10 amendments to the Constitution called the Bill of Rights. If you know what all those things are, then I'll probably consider you a good citizen. If you don't know what I just said, do what my grandfather said. You serve your country. Mm-hmm. You get back on the playing field and learn about the preamble of the Constitution, the Gettysburg Address, the Bill of Rights. Tell me you've learned the history of where America's come from. That's a citizen who should be entitled to vote. not someone born here because your mommy was smart enough to drag you over the border to give birth here.
That's right. But then radicalize you at the same time. Yeah.
I don't think that's fair to you and me, who've served all our lives contributing to a nation that has a certain standard and principle. And now this new generation wants you to be able to sit on the couch and earn the same amount of money as me.
That's crazy.
You want to tax Elon Musk more? Hey, let me tell you where it's got to be. He gets a free ride. He gets no taxes at all because I'm looking at the thousands of people he just made rich.
That's right.
And those are the people who are likely to hire you in the future.
That's right.
And
yeah,
and
it's not going to be one of these Democrat Socialists unless it's for their, they need a person for their political party or whatever that some communist in China is sending them money to run through some kind of PAC. Yeah, that's the only job they're going to give you. An activist job.
That's correct. But failure to defend the rights of other people may someday result in your rights not being defended. Get to work, make this nation a better nation, right, and serve your country any way you see fit. Adam and I did it. I hope you do it too.
Yep, Gene.
That's my message.
That's amazing. And I love it. And this has been a great talk. And I think we should start a political podcast together or something because we could go on these topics forever and ever. And there's no lack of content. Every single day, there's something new coming out that we could talk about. But Gene, I really appreciate it. Hopefully people, take this to heart. They can look you up, give them some URLs or if they want to reach you on LinkedIn or whatever. I think, if you've got a fund that's open right now for accredited investors, you're investing in hotels around Florida and other places. So give us some links that we could go to.
Okay. So, this episode, Adam gives me, and it becomes one of my weekly episodes on Gene Valentino's Grassroots Truthcast. You can get to me through simple www.genevalentino.com or grassrootstruthcast.com, all one word. And when you get there, you're going to be asked to subscribe. Please subscribe. We don't do anything with your list and names. We don't resell them. It's strictly personal for our podcasts. And weekly, we push episodes out like this. I have 3 different platforms in Grassroots Truthcast. One is these episodes. The other is my network TV commentary that I do on Newsmax and Real America's Voice. And the third are radio stations around the country that come on, have me on Friday mornings. We do a 15-minute stint. I capture them and we put them on the so there's plenty of material there to draw from for which will have of interest to you. And by the way, it's also got a comment section and commentary section. I expect your input. I'd like to have your email commentary, your comments and criticisms of the show or any particular issues on the show of the day, and we go from there. And then the other thing Adam mentioned is one of our entities in the Valentino Holdings suite of businesses is Trifecta Opportunity Capital, LLC. Just go to Trifecta Opportunity Capital on Google and it'll get you the link. And what we do is we have a 506c capital fund. It's a hedge fund that we use on Wall Street to raise the equity capital necessary for your involvement and participation with me in various Marriott and Hilton hotels. This is the equity portion. You got the debt portion. You got the equity portion. Some of these hotels require $500,000 or $2 million to get into as an equity player. Most people can't do that.
No.
So if you want to come in for for something less than 500,000, you can do so in our equity fund. We build up a certain block of cash. Your money earns interest while it sits there. And then when we flip it, we drop it into a hotel. It flips into now equity in a hotel project. We've got several around the nation right now: Jacksonville, Florida, Southport, North Carolina, Woodstock, Georgia. Oh, brother, I could name a bunch more.
Yeah, you got a lot going on, Gene.
Yeah,
and there's opportunities. Like, you continue to create opportunities for other people. I mean, it's not easy to put one of these things together.
No,
and to find the right property, find the right location, and I mean, you're doing all the hard work.
Well, credibility is all we have, so you have to surround yourself with good actors that can really take the ball and run with it, build a good hotel. And it's not only me and the investors, but let me tell you, Hilton and Marriott will be watching it as well to make sure it's done to standard. Otherwise, you're going to be on the outside looking in.
That's right. That's right. Well, Gene, I appreciate your time today. You've been very informative, as I thought you would be. You're an inspiration for a lot of young people and people that are just interested in doing things. I mean, the crazy thing about your background, my background, a lot of people that I interview is you don't just stick with one thing. You're all over. Like, you're all over. The opportunities come, and you know that you got to jump on them. I mean, it doesn't matter the industry. You go from this to this to this, and you're doing 5 things at once, and you get addicted to it over time.
Yeah,
and I think,
but when we get to folks like your age and mine, we do it with a sense of certainty and our analysis. We make sure we're not hopscotching. We do it with a sense of deliverance, so
that's right.
We're not wasting our time and money.
That's right. You got to be smart with it. Take risk, but take calculated risk.
Correct.
All right, Gene. Thanks so much.
What a pleasure being with you today, Adam. I look forward to doing this again in the future.
Oh, we will.
Thanks for joining us on this week's episode of Side Hustle City. Well, you've heard from our guests. Now let's hear from you. Join our community on Facebook, Side Hustle City. It's a group where people share ideas, share their inspirational stories, and motivate each other to be successful and turn their side hustle into their main hustle. We'll see you there, and we'll see you next week on the show. Thank you.
Relationships matter because people buy people, and that's why I buy Eddie Zarin Insurance of the Zarin Insurance Agency in Pensacola, Florida. A family-owned business with over 50 years in the business, and they treat people the right way. From homeowners insurance to contractors insurance, condo insurance, commercial insurance, all the different coverages that are out there, and of course auto insurance, they've got you covered. They worry about you first. You're more than a policy number. You're a person who they're watching out for, not when the sun is shining, but after the hurricane has left. If you want real service with real savings, contact Eddie Zarin at the Eddie Zarin Insurance Agency. www.zarininsurance.com. Give them a call today. You'll be glad you did when you do.